So next, let's go ahead and look at different products that you can use to attack crabgrass post-emergently if some has gotten away from you, or if you just moved into your house and no crabgrass barrier was put down at all and you got a major problem, what can you use to go after it? Now, the first thing I want to say is, as far as I know, there is not a good over-the-counter like Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, Ace control for crabgrass. I just don't know of one. And again, I'm talking about post-emergent. You're seeing the crabgrass, you're going to have to go and kill it with a selective herbicide. And the word selective herbicide means it's a herbicide that's designed to kill only certain things. In this case, we're going to use products that are designed to kill crabgrass. Now, they'll kill other things like broadleaf weeds. Some of these will. We'll talk about that. But they will not harm your turf grass when you use them in accordance to the label. Now, some of these do cause a little stunning in turf grass, but the idea is it's a selective herbicide. It will select only to kill the thing that you're going after and should not harm your turf grass. That's what a selective herbicide is, and we're going to go through some of those ones that we like to use. And the first one is for cool season turf, Kentucky bluegrass, turf type tall fescue, and rye. Your best bet, your best product to use if you have crabgrass is called Tenacity, Tenacity. Tenacity. Now, Tenacity is definitely what I would call a professionally formulated weed control. It is a good weed control. It's a different chemistry than most other weed controls on the market, which is one of the reasons I like it, and it's also extremely low use rate. So, some of you that are concerned about chemicals, again, I use my air quotes here, if you're concerned about chemicals in the lawn, well, then you would want to use one that has the lowest use rate. In other words, if you have a product that's going to go after crabgrass and say it's going to take 4 ounces per gallon, well, Tenacity is going to take a fraction of that to get the job done the same way and get the same results. And we'll go over the rates in a minute. But the idea being it's less pounds on the ground or less ounces on the ground or less fluid ounces on the ground, however you want to look at it. If you have a lower use product to get the same job done, that should be better to the environment overall, just logically speaking. Needing less chemical to get rid of the problem is better. And that's one of the reasons why you should like Tenacity then, because it is an extremely low use rate. Now, the other reason I like Tenacity is because it's a multi-use product. It doesn't just kill crabgrass, even though it does. I mean, it can also go after a lot of other different, weeds that you might have in your lawn: thistle, clover, ground ivy, nutsedge, foxtail, nimblewell. There's a lot of other uses for it. Now, it may not be the best on all of those, but it is good enough on them, and it is good on them, so it's not like you buy this product and then it's only used for crabgrass. It can be used for a lot of things. And in fact, if you have cool season turf, Tenacity can be like your daily driver weed control. Just be the main one that you use all the time that's going to wipe out the good majority of your weeds and any escapee crabgrass. Now, it's got some other uses. It can be used as a pre-emergent for seeding and things like that. However, it isn't the best pre-emergent for fall seeding because people would typically think about using Tenacity as a pre-emergent in conjunction with seeding because for some reason, the way the chemistry works, it will not kill new grass seed, so you can seed along with it. Most other weed controls you cannot spray at the time of seeding, but Tenacity you can. And by the way, it's not that the weed controls kill the seed, it's that the weed controls hang around and they kill the grass plant as soon as it comes up. But again, deep into the pool there. But Tenacity can be used in conjunction with seeding. It's on the label. And in fact, if you go get the Scott's starter, I think it's Scott's starter with, well, it has mesotrione, which is the active ingredient of Tenacity. So Scott's starter with mesotrione or Scott's starter with Tenacity, that's the same thing. They actually use that as a starter fertilizer that you put down along with your seeding. Scott's does. And again, it's mesotrione is the active ingredient. However, that is a spring seeding type of a deal because it can help with crabgrass and other things that can come up. But Tenacity or mesotrione does not have much of an effect, if any effect at all, on annual bluegrass. And so the reason that you'd want to use Tenacity in the fall, at least in my mind, is because you would want to be able to seed but also stop annual bluegrass. And Tenacity is labeled for only suppression of that. So just think about that when you hear people talking about Tenacity for seeding. In my opinion, that's a little bit better of a strategy for the spring. Now, not to get too wrapped around the axle on that, not to get too deep into it, I do like Tenacity, though, again, because of all these multi-uses that it has. You can use it for a lot more than just killing crabgrass post-emergently. So those are the two reasons I like it. Extremely low use rate as well as multi-use on other things. Now, the other thing is when you talk about the low use rate, there is some positive there, as I mentioned, because it's less chemical being applied to the environment overall, just as a raw number. But there's some challenge there, because if you make a mistake in your measuring and you add a little bit too much, and I'm using the term little bit, but if you're supposed to use a certain mix rate, which in this case it's 1 teaspoon per gallon, that's the mix rate of Tenacity. I do like that. It's 1 teaspoon per gallon. It's easy. It's simple. By the way, go look at a teaspoon. It's not a lot at all, but 1 teaspoon per gallon. If you actually overmeasure even by a small amount, you could actually end up doing some damage to your turf grass because it is such a low use rate. It doesn't take a lot to get too much. So think about it in that regard. If you're a brand new beginner, you've never sprayed before, Tenacity probably isn't your first choice to learn. You should learn with another product. That's why I talk about, getting over-the-counter products and killing dandelions and clover and easy things with them and stuff like that. But just one of those things to pay attention to. Don't want to overload. Now, one of the things, if you do overload with Tenacity, what it will do to your turf grass is it will stunt it. It might turn it white temporarily, but typically it will grow out. It looks a little scary at first. But one thing I do want to talk about as well is the cost of this, because when you go looking at Tenacity, and by the way, there will be no affiliate links in this or anything like that. This is not a product that sponsors me or I represent or anything like that. It's just a good weed control. But some people will get sticker shock from it. So the thing you want to look at next is, what does it cost? So it's $60 for a small bottle of it. And people go, wow, $60, because you're used to going to Home Depot and buying a 32-ounce bottle of concentrated, ortho or whatever they have, Bio Advanced, something like that. You're used to going and buying a 32-ounce bottle, and it's like $9.99. And here you're buying this really small bottle. I don't know how big it is, but it's $60 and it's super small. And it's like a sticker shock to you. But keep in mind that $60, that small bottle, covers 1 full acre, because it's only 1 teaspoon per gallon, whereas some of those ortho products or whatever, again, they're back in that 4 to 6 ounce per gallon range. This is 1 teaspoon per gallon, so it's a very small amount. So that one little bottle for $60 covers an entire acre. If you have an average square foot lawn of 5,000 square feet, that means you could blanket spray your entire lawn 8 times for $60. Now, you're not going to have to do that, hopefully. If you have to blanket spray your lawn because of crabgrass, you probably should go another route anyway. So think about how many spot sprays you can get if you just have to spot spray your 5,000 square foot lawn, or even zone spray it. If that bottle covers 43,500 square feet, that's $60 is not a lot at all. Compared back to that ortho product that you're getting 32 ounces, and it might only cover 5,000 square feet for $10, you see? So you kind of got to do that math there. You kind of got to look at things. When you do get into that professional realm and that professional side of a product, the sticker shock up front definitely can hit you, but you got to do a little math and realize, wow, this will probably last me forever. And that's another challenge we come into then, there's shelf life. Now, I don't know the shelf life on Tenacity, but for some of you that bought Tenacity, it might last you 5 or 10 years. So that's where it's a good idea to share with your friends from work or your neighbor, your dad, something like that. You guys go in on it together. And then, you might have enough weed control for your whole neighborhood. Now, don't go spraying people's lawns without their permission, but you get what I'm saying. You go in together, you buy this one bottle for $60, and you guys all use it. And that way, it's really smart. Get you communicate with your neighbor, whatever. So one of those things to do, but I just wanted to bring that out. Now, one other thing with Tenacity, it does require a non-ionic surfactant to go in with it. And so depending what surfactant you get, it's 1 or 2 ounces per gallon. What a surfactant is a sticker. It's just going to help the product to stick on the leaf. And especially with crabgrass, that's what we want. And what you're going to notice with Tenacity is it'll turn the crabgrass a white color. It kind of bleaches it out. That's how that mode of action works with mesotrione. And that's what you're going to see as the effect. Now, crabgrass is a little bit beefier. It's a little bit more stout of a plant. So it's not like it's going to go away overnight. People think I'm going to kill these weeds and they're going to be gone the next day. No, it'll be in your lawn white for a little bit of time. It'll take a few mowings and it will definitely go away. So that's your first choice there for cool season lawn, and one I definitely recommend, Tenacity. So definitely pick that one up. There's a million videos on the internet. A lot of guys have done really good videos on Tenacity that you can see on YouTube and stuff. Some guys that are very experienced with using it, show you how to mix it, all that. Highly recommend that. Very smart weed control. Now, there is another one. Now, this is one that I actually prefer for some different reasons, and that is because it is a little bit, easier. There's a little bit more fudge factor built in with it. Not much. But there is some, and that is a product called Quinclorac. Now, some of you will know Quinclorac as Drive. That was the brand name, but Quinclorac is the active ingredient, and you're going to find mostly Quinclorac 75DF from Qualipro. Qualipro is a maker of generics, right? When things come off patent, Qualipro goes in and they make, quantities of just the active ingredient, saves money, operators love it, all that kind of thing. It works very much like the pharmaceutical industry. When they get a drug, it's on patent. When it comes off patent, then everybody makes it and everybody makes their own version of it. Quinclorac, and that's what QualiPro does. They have Quinclorac 75DF. DF stands for dry flowable, so it's a dry flowable product that you're going to mix in water and agitate it and stir it around. Now, this is definitely what I would call more of a specialty product than the Tenacity that we talked about earlier, because Quinclorac really only has one thing that it does, and it kills crabgrass. Now, it'll kill a couple other things. Foxtail is good. It's okay on clover, though, although I would not recommend it for that, but it will kill foxtail. But one thing that it does is it'll hammer hard on crabgrass, even in the more advanced tiller stages. Now, some people will say that it doesn't get the best results at the 2 and 3 tiller stage, although I've had good results with it. But when the crabgrass gets a little bit more mature, I have seen really good results with Quinclorac. So that's one of the reasons that I recommend it. Now, what it will do is turn crabgrass red, dark red, and it's very interesting how that mode of action works. And the crabgrass will be like this orangey red color in the lawn for a little bit of time, especially if it's more advanced, but it will definitely go away. One thing with Quinclorac that you want to make sure is you don't want to mow 2 days prior to the application, and it's also a good idea to make sure that the soil is moist. Now, not super wet. What you want to do is basically the day before you spray Quinclorac, just irrigate. Whatever your normal irrigation cycle would be, that's when you want to irrigate, because it's going to help it to get better uptake and intake if the soil is moist. If the soil is dry, then the Quinclorac may not work at all. So definitely use Quinclorac when the soil is not dry, and don't mow for 2 days prior to the application. What this will do is it'll get the weeds moving, or get the crabgrass moving and growing, so that it will take that Quinclorac in. Now, this one also has a low mix rate, but not quite as low as Tenacity. This one is 1 tablespoon per gallon. So whereas Tenacity was 1 teaspoon per gallon, this is 1 tablespoon per gallon. Now, this one comes in a 16-ounce jug. Remember, it's a dry flowable, so that's 16 ounces by weight. And 1 tablespoon equals 0.376 ounces by weight. So if you do the math there, Quinclorac is $45 for 16 ounces by weight, and that 16 ounces by weight will cover 1 acre. So this product is cheaper than Tenacity, and that's one of the reasons I like it. However, it's not multi-use like the Tenacity is, but it also has a little bit more fudge factor. So that's the other side of it there. The other thing is, some of you might already have a weed control that you're using that you like. So let's say that you're using Speed Zone. Now, Speed Zone is a great weed control. It's going to zorch almost everything that you're going to be able to find in any cool season lawn, but not crabgrass. And so therefore, you might want to spike your Speed Zone with Quinclorac. And that's how I look at Quinclorac. It's a specialty product that you spike into other products. Now, if you have a really bad crabgrass problem and you have Quinclorac, then certainly mix up a gallon of it by itself and go out and spray it. Quinclorac also can be used with a non-ionic surfactant. I think they actually recommend methylated seed oil on the label, but you can use a non-ionic surfactant, again, as a sticker. That will also help, so that's another thing to add in there. So that's why I do like Quinclorac if you need a specialty product, because you already have a weed control that you're using that you like, that works for 90% of the problems that you have, but you just need something to spike in. That's where Quinclorac can come in handy. Now, one other thing, and a lot of these products, I think the Bio Advanced, but a lot of these products that you can get up in areas where you have cool season grass, they will be like a 3-way herbicide that will have dicamba, 2,4-D, and some Quinclorac also in the mix. I can tell you those are the over-the-counter mixes. I will tell you that the percentage of Quinclorac that's in those mixes is not enough to control crabgrass once it gets away from you, once it gets out of that second tiller stage, which is going to be most of you here. And in fact, I think a lot of the products now that you can get for cool season lawns over the counter at like a Home Depot, Lowe's, I think they're starting to leave the Quinclorac out and put something else in, because I think there may be like some MCPP, yeah, you know me, because I think they're realizing that to label those products for post-emergent control of crabgrass is not getting the efficacy that they need, so they're starting to leave that aside. So again, these are the 2 products I recommend if you need to go after crabgrass. They are what you call professional formulations, but they're definitely affordable when you look at the math on it, when you look at how everything shakes out. It's not really that bad. You got the Tenacity, again, at $60 for an acre, and you have the Quinclorac at $45 for an acre. Again, both of those would last you probably forever. Now,